Welcome to Podnutz Daily for October 13th, 2008, episode number 97. Getting close to the big 100. I'm getting excited. You know, I actually have been tempted, I probably won't do it, to do podcasts on weekends as well, just so I can start catching up to everybody else who does a daily podcast and try to surpass them as far as episodes go. Because, you know, everybody's doing 5 days a week. Yeah, 5 days a week, 5 days a week. If I do weekends, I can start catching up to people who are ahead of me. Anyway, hey, the Great Tech Debate was this past Saturday. Whoever tuned in and watched it live, thanks for bearing with us. It started late. It was so much fun. I had a blast. The main thing I was concerned with this last week was that the audio came through okay. For those of you who don't know, I tried to do this podcast as well as audio. I tried to do it virtually also through Second Life, the game Second Life. And I spent all weekend buying land in Second Life, then just putting together a little room as fast as I could with 4 walls and a ceiling, and threw a couple benches in there. And then everybody who was doing the Great Tech Debate with me, that podcast, all 4 guests, actually entered Second Life, and we all sat there and did the show. The problem was, if you guys did watch the video, which it's kind of funny. The problem with the video was we weren't using Second Life chat. You could actually talk through your characters in Second Life. And in Second Life, if you don't do anything with your character, after a certain amount of time, he starts to slump over and get tired and kind of go to sleep standing up. And because we weren't using their voice chat, our characters weren't very active, so they all started falling asleep on the bench. If you go to thegreattechdebate.com, you could watch what video clips I do have there. And it's hilarious. I will be also releasing the audio podcast. It's going to be released actually as part of Podnutz.com. I'm switching Podnutz.com from, the do-it-yourself computer repair podcast. That site is going to be Podnutz.com, the Tech Podcast Network, or something like that. And it's going to have the Philly Tech Guys show on it. It's going to have Great Tech Debate. It's going to have Podnutz Daily, and it's going to have the Podnutz, do-it-yourself computer repair podcast. So it's going to be more like a twit, where it's a compilation of all the podcasts I do all on one site. It's going to look almost exactly the same. It's going to act exactly the same, and you can subscribe to the feeds exactly the same. Not going to do any major changes, but it's going to include all the shows on one site. So I'm going to have that show up on Podnutz.com soon, so you can listen to the Great Tech Debate audio. Otherwise, just go to thegreattechdebate.com, and you can watch the video and listen to the audio from Ustream. And we're going to be major improvements for next week as far as the way that the studio looks in Second Life, and a lot of things. So anyway, it was good. It was a good beta version. I think I had a lot of fun doing it, so I hope you guys enjoyed it, those of you who did watch it. Okay, I had a compact laptop in the shop today. Now, this was a pretty strange laptop. What it was doing was when you plugged in an AC power adapter into the thing, the tip on the power adapter would get so hot it would melt the plastic on the power adapter. So the customer who brought it in actually went through 2 power adapters working this thing. And I opened it up and I looked at it, and I didn't see anything noticeably wrong. But what did happen was, sorry about that, I heard something strange here in the apartment. What did happen was, there was a little spot where the power jack attaches to the motherboard, where the lead from the jack to the motherboard was a little loose. And just that being a little loose, I think, caused it to overheat, because it's making a connection and not making a connection and making a connection. And just that fact that it was loose caused the thing to overheat, and the thing was melting. The power adapter tip was melting. Tomorrow I'm going to resolder that and make sure that that's the fix. A funny thing about this laptop is it's very strange. It's a CompaQ. I think it's a V5000. It's that big silver laptop that CompaQ used to make about 3 or 4 years ago. Well, they made a 14-inch version, and they made a 15-inch version. The 15-inch version has it's extended depth-wise. It's the depth of the actual computer is a lot bigger than the smaller version. And if you open up the actual computer and look at it, CompaQ uses the 14-inch motherboard, then attaches 2 adapters, one to the battery and one to the power jack, which actually extends the back of it outward. So it's using the same motherboard, but it's got these 2 adapters. Now, these adapters, this one adapter was the thing that was actually faulty and caused it to overheat. But it's picture the 14-inch version and extend the back 2 inches. Actually, in the case, are just 2 extensions on a 14-inch motherboard. It's kind of interesting. But apparently having a loose solder connection in a power adapter on the tip or in the power jack can cause it to get really hot and melt. It was actually getting so hot it was melting the power adapters. Had another computer come in. It was a Dell, I think a D610 Latitude and 14-inch version. What was going on with this thing was the girl brought it in. She works in D.C. She was born and raised in this Philadelphia area, so she comes home often. And at Philadelphia, the computer works fine. When she takes it to D.C., the thing blue screens on her. This is when she's using her wireless internet. Well, I couldn't find an apparent reason of exactly why that was happening because it was working fine in my shop. So what I did just to play it safe is, it was only Service Pack 2. I installed Service Pack 3. I ran Dial-A-Fix. I went to MS-config. I disabled a lot of junk. I also ran CCleaner. What else did I do? I went to add remove programs. I removed a lot of crapware. She had an old version of McAfee Enterprise Security. I've had experiences with McAfee where it causes computers to blue screen, so I uninstalled that. I put a copy of AVG on it. And what else did I do? I ran WinSock XP Fix or WinSock Fix XP, whatever that's called. And I did a couple of things. Let me see here. Oh, and I also removed the spyware. I ran Smith Fraud Fix to get rid of any spyware that was on the machine. I didn't run super anti-spyware, but right now the thing's running like a rocket. The wireless doesn't seem to have a problem. I have a strong feeling it was McAfee, but I might do another thing tomorrow. My dad brought up a good point. Check the event viewer. Windows XP and Vista have event viewers where you can see where errors are actually being caused. And if you know how to read the event viewer properly, you could diagnose a problem maybe faster than you could just by guessing or just by knowing symptoms. You could actually see where the error occurred, what time, what place, what application. I've never really gotten into the event viewer too much, but I have a feeling it can be a powerful tool once you know how to read it properly. That's something I might check tomorrow so I could see what is happening when she actually goes to DC. She is on a VPN too, by the way. I think that maybe have something to do with it in DC. But you know what? I have a good feeling about Service Pack 3. I've run to so many computers that installing Service Pack 3 and getting the Windows updates fully updated has solved a lot of problems. Next one. Had a desktop come in. Wasn't starting properly. What was happening is, this is a fairly common problem. You'd start Windows XP, it would boot through the boot screen, but right when you get to the login screen, it would give you this error, lsass.exe error. It would say LSASS is corrupt or something.